The restaurant buzzed with a quiet energy, the kind that signaled the beginning of a busy evening. Soft classical music played in the background, blending seamlessly with the gentle clinking of glasses and silverware. Naomi Sanders sat near the center of the dining room, her table adorned with a crisp white tablecloth and polished silverware. She had arrived precisely on time, as was her habit, her confident demeanor blending effortlessly into the sophisticated ambience. The staff moved efficiently around her, welcoming new patrons and guiding them to their seats. Naomi noticed a couple being led to a nearby table, a pair who had walked in moments ago, clearly without a reservation. She glanced down at her menu, making a mental note of the interaction. "Everything all right, ma'am?" the waiter asked, stopping briefly to refill her water glass. Naomi nodded, offering a polite smile. "Just waiting on my meal. Thank you." She leaned back in her chair, observing the room. The other diners were immersed in their own conversations, a mix of business professionals and couples enjoying a night out. Naomi enjoyed these moments of quiet observation, finding beauty in the rhythm of life around her. Near the entrance, the restaurant manager, Marcus Caldwell, stood with his arms crossed. His sharp suit was immaculate, and his posture exuded authority. He tapped his earpiece, listening intently to a voice on the other end. Whatever was said made his expression tighten. A server approached him hesitantly, and Marcus leaned in, lowering his voice. "Table 9, he said, nodding subtly in Naomi's direction. "We might need to clear it. Keep it on standby." The server frowned. "But sir, she already has a reservation. And her meal." Marcus waved him off impatiently. "Just do it. I'll handle it." Unaware of the exchange, Naomi adjusted her napkin and glanced at her phone. The hum of conversation continued around her, but Marcus's sharp eyes remained fixed on her table, calculating his next move. The calm hum of the restaurant persisted as Naomi traced her finger along the menu, deciding between two dishes. The waiter returned to Marcus's side, clearly uneasy. "She's still there," the waiter said softly, glancing toward Naomi. Marcus's face hardened. "Fine, I'll handle it." Straightening his jacket, Marcus strode across the room, his sharp movements betraying his irritation. Naomi noticed him approaching and set her menu down, her gaze steady as he stopped at her table. "Good evening," Marcus began, his smile tight. "I'm Marcus Caldwell, the manager here. I'm afraid we have a situation." Naomi tilted her head slightly. "What kind of situation?" Marcus clasped his hands, his tone measured. "A very important guest will be arriving shortly, and we need to make adjustments to our seating arrangements. Unfortunately, that means I'll need to ask you to vacate this table." Naomi's eyebrow lifted. "Vacate? Why? I have a reservation, and I was seated on time." Marcus's smile tightened further. "I understand, but this is an exceptional circumstance. I trust you'll be understanding about the needs of the restaurant." Her expression remained calm but firm. "Why not ask someone else to move? Several tables were seated after me." His mask of professionalism slipped slightly, and irritation flashed in his eyes. "Ma'am, this is a business decision. We need to maintain a certain ambience for tonight's special guests." "Ambience?" Naomi repeated, her tone sharpening. "And my presence disrupts that, does it?" Marcus's composure faltered. "Look," he said, his voice low but clipped. "This isn't personal. I'm offering you the chance to handle this gracefully. Don't make it harder than it needs to be." Naomi sat up straighter, her gaze narrowing. "Are you threatening me?" "I'm simply saying that if you don't cooperate, I'll have to involve security. I'd hate for things to escalate unnecessarily." Naomi froze for a moment, then smiled coolly. "Escalate?" she repeated. "So your solution is to intimidate paying customers to accommodate special guests. Is that it?" Marcus's jaw tightened, his voice dropping further. "You're not the first person I've had to deal with like this. I can make this easy or difficult." Her smile didn't waver. "I'll stay right here for now." Frustrated, Marcus straightened up. "Fine. 5 minutes," he snapped before turning and walking away. Naomi's fingers grazed the edge of the table, anger simmering beneath her composed exterior. This wasn't her first encounter with someone like Marcus Caldwell. He was the type who believed his position granted him the right to decide who mattered. The click of polished shoes brought her attention back. Marcus was returning, flanked by two uniformed security guards. His earlier veneer of civility had been replaced by impatience. "Ma'am," Marcus began sharply, "I warned you. Your refusal to cooperate is disrupting the restaurant's operation. This is unacceptable." Naomi's calm gaze fixed on him. "You haven't explained why it's me you're asking to leave. Why not the diners who arrived after me?" Marcus's lips pressed into a thin line. Then he said it, the word she had been expecting. "Because this establishment caters to a certain clientele, and I'm afraid you don't fit the image we're trying to uphold tonight." Naomi's breath caught for a moment. There it was, laid bare. No veiled excuses, just the raw, ugly truth. "Say that again," she said, her voice low. Marcus shifted uncomfortably, but doubled down. "We have a responsibility to maintain a high standard here. And frankly, I don't believe you align with that standard." Naomi stood slowly, her movements deliberate. Though she was smaller in stature, her presence loomed far larger. The guards tensed but made no move as she adjusted her bag. "You think you can treat people like this and get away with it?" she asked softly. Marcus's voice held a forced confidence. "I run this place, and I say you're done here." Naomi's calmness held steady. "Before you escalate further," she said, pulling out her phone, "I need to make a call." Marcus folded his arms. "Go ahead. I'm sure whoever you call will understand the situation perfectly." Naomi stepped a few paces away and dialed a number. Her voice, low but firm, carried a quiet authority. Marcus watched, his earlier confidence waning as she spoke. When the call ended, Naomi turned back to face him. "You're going to regret this," she said simply. Marcus laughed derisively. "Oh, really? And why is that?" "Because I just spoke to the owner of this restaurant," Naomi replied evenly. Marcus froze, the color draining from his face. His phone buzzed, and he hesitated before answering. The voice on the other end was unmistakably furious. As Marcus stammered excuses, Naomi watched him with quiet satisfaction. When he ended the call, his voice trembled. "Miss Sanders, I think we've had a misunderstanding. Please allow me to make it up to you." Naomi's expression was icy. "Make it up to me? Tell me, Marcus, how exactly do you plan to do that?" The following morning, Naomi arrived at the restaurant with James Lawson, the owner, at her side. Marcus sat at a corner table, his posture tense and his eyes avoiding Naomi's. James's voice was firm but calm as he addressed Marcus. "I trusted you to uphold the values of this restaurant," James said, "but you betrayed that trust. Effective immediately. You're terminated." Marcus's protests were silenced by James's unwavering authority. Naomi's voice was steady as she addressed the staff later that day. "This isn't just about one person. It's about ensuring that everyone who walks through those doors is treated with respect and dignity." The staff nodded, their expressions resolute. Change had begun, and Naomi knew it wouldn't be easy. But as she walked out of the restaurant that evening, the glow of its windows behind her, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. Change was possible, and it was worth every fight to achieve.